All right, here we go. Donald Trump. Oh, just give me a second. Yeah, mama. Good smoke. Donald Trump. Let's talk about North Korea, and because that's a that's a fun one. I'm 67. I was born in 1950. So during the Cuban Missile Crisis, I actually, living in New Jersey, I actually saw the Nike missiles. The slabs had been pulled back. The Nike missiles, the anti-missile missiles, were up on their launchers. They wouldn't have been able to hit any Russian ICBMs coming in, and I would have been evaporated with all the rest of us. But fortunately, Khrushchev's generals forced him to back down, and that I'm going to tie that in at the end. The generals keeping an insane leader from blowing up the planet. Okay, so now, for years we've had an insane leader in North Korea, but we've had sane leaders in America, and even George W. Bush, who with this lunatic that's in office now, he makes Bush look like a statesman and a genius. Okay, so now we got a mentally disturbed lunatic demagogue in the Oval Office who can out crazy the North Korean leader. So somehow he gets into a dick fight with North Korea's leader. Their dicks are probably both tiny. What are we talking about? Compared to Obama's, 8-10 incher. Just look at that smile on Michelle's face versus Melena's frown, unsatisfied frown, unless maybe some Social Security, African Americans are banging her now. Social Security, Secret Service. Come on, Andy, Jesus. Sounding like an old guy. Anyway, so now we got a lunatic who's talking about fire and fury. Of course, as soon as he says that, the generals go, no, we're not going to nuke North Korea. And they all have to call China and say, we're not going to nuke North Korea. And then they have to explain to Trump, wouldn't you love to be in on that briefing? Look, idiot, we dropped two small atomic bombs on the Japanese at the end of World War II. We could do that because nobody else had nuclear weapons. We can't drop atomic bombs on anybody now because if you detonate one, according to Rant Corporation, war game simulations, if you detonate one nuclear weapon, the world ends because then everybody else shoots off their nuclear weapons. By the way, just an interesting aside, even an American even an American ballistic submarine firing a nuclear tipped missile off a Trident submarine at North Korea, the little Chinese 19-year-old looking at his radar scope, boop, boop, boop. When he sees that missile, he can't tell his commander whether that's heading for Peking or whether that's heading for North Korea. And so, guess what? The Chinese, they launch all their missiles, and then the Russians see the Chinese shooting their missiles, and the Russians are like, well, we're not going to be left out. They shoot all their missiles. And make a long story short, you won't have to pay any of your rent or utility bills, or pay any bills ever again, because the world ends. So now, here's the question. During the Cuban Missile Crisis, it was Khrushchev's generals who told him to back down. And they explained to him how, millions of dead bodies smell really bad. See, Khrushchev wasn't at Stalingrad during the siege, but those generals were. And so they had to explain to Comrade Nikita, they had to explain to the idiot shoe-pounding, kiddies just have to look at it, Google it. They'll show you the video of him at the United Nations pounding his shoe. We will bury you. They had to explain to the idiot during the Cuban Missile Crisis, if that admiral follows your order to fire a nuclear-tipped torpedo at an American destroyer, what's going to happen is within minutes the United States is going to rain atomic bombs on Russia, then the Soviet Union, and that's the end of the world. And so Khrushchev backed down. Well, now this lunatic, our lunatic, is threatening North Korea with fire and fury. Oh, we'll annihilate them. Well, guess what? There's a big ally of North Korea that just happens to be right on the border to the south. It's called South Korea. And there's also a big rival of ours right on the other side of the border to the west. It's called China. It's a major power with more than 2 or 3 nuclear weapons. There's a huge ally of ours downwind of the radiation clouds from North Korea. It's called Japan. Yeah, you know, the people that make those great Toyotas and Nissans. And so this fucking idiot's not going to be going to war with North Korea. But here's the question. Is it reasonable? Is it viable? Is it smart that our survival must depend on our military stopping this lunatic? I really think Paul Ryan's got to think about that question and maybe get off his ass and impeach this fucking lunatic. The Senate's already ready to convict. But if Ryan impeaches him, then maybe he can save the Republican Party. If he doesn't impeach him, they're going to take a bloodbath in 2018 midterms, which is now just a month and a year and a month away. They're going to take a bloodbath. My party, the Democratic Party, will regain control of the House, and then will impeach him. And the Republicans will like with Nixon and Watergate, it'll take years for stupid Americans to forget that Republicans have gotten in bed with a lunatic that almost blew up the planet. And in the meantime, they won't be able to win any elections. Now that's good because I'm 67. So if we can keep them out of power for about 20 years, I think I'm good. 25 would give me a cushion, but I'll settle for 20. So Trump, profoundly mentally ill, hateful, lunatic demagogue, threatening to blow up the world. American military will stop him. Now, of course, when they refuse that order to attack North Korea, that's basically a de facto coup d'etat. So if Ryan doesn't get off his ass pretty soon, we'll have the first. We've already got the first profoundly mentally disturbed demagogue in the Oval Office. We may have our first military coup in the history of the nation. And you know what's crazy? This hippie from the 60s. I would be in the streets cheering on the tanks, cheering on the military. Yeah, check that out. And if Trump's lunatic base and a handful of red states, governors, if they decide to secede from the Union as a result of us removing Trump from office in disgrace, that would be wonderful. We'll relitigate the Civil War. Only this time, the last time, Lincoln, there are fellow citizens, let us put down arms and embrace them. There ain't going to be any of that shit. If these dumbass motherfuckers make us fight the Civil War a second time, we're talking carpet bombing of the red states. We're talking the slaughter of his lunatic, toothless base idiots if they take to the streets with their little toy guns, because they're going to be fighting army units with air support. And okay, so a couple of states with their little militias and their little National Guard units, so they might last in skirmishes for a couple of hours or maybe even a couple of days. A couple of army units defect, even a couple of Air Force units. That's all right. They'll shoot them out of the sky and they'll quickly kill those renegade non-United States units that defect. Not a problem. Now, am I talking about killing millions of Trump supporters? Yeah, yes I am. Millions. Because their sympathizers are going to be among them. Hopefully the people that didn't vote for Trump will flee those areas before the bombs fall. But I'm talking saturation bombing, carpet bombing. I mean, due to the red states that secede, what Sherman was on his way to doing during the end of the Civil War when Lincoln made him stop, he was basically burning the South to the ground and killing every single Southerner, every single one of them. And of course, black slaves rose up and slaughtered their slaveholders and their slaveholders' families before they walked to the American lines, the Union lines, and they gave them a pair of boots and a gun so they could kill them some rebs. And I'm thinking that might happen this time too. That might happen this time too. So all you white Anglo-Saxon Protestant 1%ers, I'd be calling ADT. Make sure your security system is up to snuff. Because you know what? When the shit hits the fan, I don't think blue-collar cops are going to be racing to your gated communities to protect you from mobs, angry mobs of people of color, burning you out, dragging you out of your mansions and slaughtering you. It'll be like the French Revolution, baby. So, keep pushing, idiots. Keep pushing. And see what happens. Peace out. Andrew Paul Scatino. Why Women Are So Problematic. A memoir, an irreverent, whimsical polemic. Trying to finish it. Trying to publish it. Check out my GoFundMe page and make a donation. Please. Google my name. SCHETTINO. Andrew and Paul, spelled just like the apostles. I'm not named after them. I'm named after my grandfather and his older brother. But that's a long story. Peace out. Viva the revolution.